Hey you guys, welcome to Lisa and Company. If you want to see a really fun Michaels dupe with kind of a cool backstory, make sure you stay tuned for the rest of this video. One day at lunch, my colleague and I decided to do a quick run over to Michaels. I needed supplies and seriously, she loves Michaels too. She bought these two signs and my response was, "Silly girl, I could make those." So she said, "Do it." If you remember the tray that we made out of a table leaf from the Restore, these are the offcuts, so I'm going to use these to turn them into signs. Now I'm going to cut the ends off. If you look, you can actually see the black Sharpie lines I made, and I'm going to reattach those sideways on the ends. It's a lot easier to watch than it is for me to explain. Before I actually attach these, I'm going to give everything a quick sand for a couple of reasons. First, I want to make sure I get off all the rough edges from cutting it, and I also want to make sure I'm taking off this really shiny finish. You can't see it so well on film, but it is shiny. Now I'm going to use this tacky glue that I pick up at the Dollar Tree, and it's going to really stick it well, but I'm going to leave it overnight because before I start painting this, I want to make sure it's got a really good adhesion going on. Are you starting to see the shape of the sign coming together? I hope it's looking like the other one. So I'm going to start with my base coat, and it's just a quick coat of orange. I'm going to really layer up the paint. We're actually going to do 4 different layers with this, so bear with me. The first one is just your average acrylic craft paint, again from Dollar Tree. Next up, I'm actually going to mix my orange paint with a little bit of white paint just to try and create something a little creamier and softer than this bright orange. But if you watch the way I'm putting it on, I'm just kind of using the side of the paintbrush and dragging it over the surface. I don't want to put another complete coat on. This is one of those moments where you have to trust the process and trust that you've been painting for a while and what's in your head is actually going to translate on this project. Okay, it's looking good, and this is one of those moments where I say to myself, do I keep going or is this where I stop? So clearly, I keep going. So what I've mixed up now is a really white version of the paint. Again, I told you I wanted to layer it up and I wanted to have great texture on this piece. So I know right now it looks like I've lost my absolute mind, but I really hope I haven't. So again, trusting in the process and just working through the project. It's just paint. And you know what? If I really hate it, I can either sand it off or I can paint over it. While that's drying, I want to go ahead and prepare some of the embellishments. So this is going to create our little pumpkin topper. We're just going to stick together 2 of the tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree. Once that's dry, we'll stain them and glue them on top. We're also going to make a couple of cute little curly cues with the wired jute from the Dollar Tree. I'm just wrapping them around a paintbrush handle, and we're going to snip them off before we attach them later on. Do yourself and your good scissors a favor. When you're cutting something with wire in it, whether it be flowers, this wire jute, or anything else, make sure you're using the right tools. This is just a pair of wire cutters I picked up at the dollar store, and this way I'm not trashing those scissors that I would need for other materials. I promise you we are absolutely in the home stretch. I'm going to give this a sand for a couple of reasons. You know, this paint has quite a bit of texture on it now, and I want to see if I can even out the finish a little bit. Not take away what I've done, but just even it out a little before we put on this very last step. Feels like we've come full circle, but we're just going to water down literally a drop of the orange paint, and we are just going to wash it over the top of all of this. And this is going to get us to exactly where I want it to go, I hope. Or at least that's the plan anyway. You know that part where I said we had to trust in the process? I have to admit I'm a little nervous here, but as it starts to go on, I start to see that this is the texture I was looking for. I didn't want to recreate the Michaels ones exactly, but I didn't want to stray too far either. So I'm really happy with the way that came out. So I went ahead and cut out Hey Pumpkin on my Cricut. In hindsight, I wish I had used a heavier font, but again, I was trying to copy the one on the Michaels. So we've got it all stuck down and it's reveal time. Okay, time to get this baby done. We're using that same technique where we water down a little bit of paint just to stain, in air quotes, the little topper I'm going to use for this pumpkin. Now I'm just going over and over it until I get the desired color I was looking for. These can be a little bit tricky to stain, but this one came out really well. So I just attached that, what is it, stump topper? I can't think of the right word right now, to the top. And now I'm just going to add the little curly cues we created where it would have been attached to the vine. You know, like if it was an actual pumpkin. So once you've got that glued down, I'm just going to flip it over to the other side and we're just going to manipulate them a little bit, which is the best part about using this wired jute. I hadn't actually planned to use it. I was thinking of using some burlap ribbon originally and remembered I had it, and thank goodness for the craft stash. So is fall your favorite time of year like so many of us? Do you do all kinds of DIY projects this time of year? Tell me down in the comments what you're working on. So many layers of paint later, and I think this came out really quite well. I'm liking it more than I thought. I don't really go in for the orange decor, but you know, if Trish didn't like this one, it might find its way into my home. Now let's see what she thinks of it.
Oh my gosh! Oh, it looks so good!
Well, I guess that answers my question. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, you'll consider subscribing. We look forward to seeing you back here next time at Lisa & Company.